Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today in my backyard kitchen. My name is Susie Young, and I am an oncology dietitian, and I have been working with Aon for a little over a year. My clinics exist in Washington, Idaho, Nevada, and Arizona. And I am joined today with my lovely coworker, Nicole Franklin. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Susie. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much for helping me today with this cooking demonstration.
I am excited to do some grilling with you.
Well, this is going to be fun. Now, after Valerie Williams presented her information last month on how we can all move towards a plant-based diet, I thought for my cooking class, I want to share grilled portobello mushroom burgers. I have been making this recipe for a little over 5 years. And every time I make it, it comes out perfect. It's a very simple, easy to do work day meal. All we're going to do is prep the portobello mushroom caps. We're going to marinate them in a balsamic vinegar base, and then we're going to grill them. And that's it. Are you ready?
Let's do it, Susie. It sounds great.
Okay, very good. So I went ahead and prepped the portobello mushroom caps. And what I do when I prep my caps is I will lightly wash off the top part, the smooth part, as well as the gills to make sure that there's no dirt. And then I dry them as well as possible because I want most of that water to come off the mushroom cap so that the marinade can then soak in to the mushroom. So that has been done. Now let's go ahead and make the marinade. Now, using Caitlin Benda's cooking class, when she did the curry dish, she talked about how we can intensify the antioxidants found in garlic. We can do that by prepping the garlic first and letting it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes. Now, Nicole, when you use fresh garlic, how do you prep your garlic cloves?
Well, Susie, I'm hoping you have a good tip for me because I am not the most savvy when it comes to garlic prepping. I'm following what you did. I kind of smash it with my knife and then I just chop it. Do you have any tips?
Well, I am a lazy cook. I love to cook, but I don't like to spend a lot of time prepping things. And so I discovered my microplaner is a great tool to use when prepping garlic. Now, if you don't have one of these in your kitchen, I would recommend getting one. It doesn't take up a lot of space, which is key in my small kitchen. And this is great for taking the peel off of lemons, limes, oranges. If you want to use fresh nutmeg, and when you want to use fresh garlic. So I've smashed the garlic cloves so that I can take off the skin. Evidently not well enough.
Hmm. You know, I like to use the microplane as well, but I have not thought about it for garlic. So I may have to borrow this tip.
Well, like I said, I have a small kitchen, so I need to make sure that whatever's in my kitchen has at least one use where I can, use this tool 2 or 3 times. If I have a utensil or a piece of equipment that's good for only one thing, typically I don't have it because when you are limited on counter space, you're going to make sure everything counts, right?
Exactly. You think it would still be okay if I had the jar of already prepared garlic? Could I use that in this recipe?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I'm kind of a lazy shopper. I always tend to buy the same things when I'm at the grocery store, and I forget to look for the chopped garlic. So I always end up just getting the fresh garlic. But once I discovered this tip, it made all the difference. So all I'm going to do is grab a little container and grate my garlic. I like using this because it keeps the garlic uniform in shape, which means it's going to flavor the portobello mushrooms evenly. Instead of getting like a big chunk of garlic, I used to chop garlic, but I just am not that good at it. So when I discovered this, it made all the difference.
That is a great tip, Susie.
So I'm going to bring this over to the camera so you can have an idea of what it looks like. Can you see that?
Yes, that is perfectly even. No garlic chunks in that.
And it's easy to get out of this too. That was my big struggle with using a garlic press, is I felt like it took more effort to get the garlic out of the press than just chopping it.
I'm with you. I love having a kitchen tool that can do multiple things from Parmesan, nutmeg, zest of fruit. Now I can use it for garlic.
The only tip I would give is make sure you don't get too close to the blades. I have nicked my nails on this, so these things are sharp. So just be careful so that you're not doing more harm to yourself.
Mm. It makes a big difference to have those fresh, either herbs or fruits or garlic, especially when it's a simple meal. Having good ingredients really makes it shine.
It does. So now I'm going to prepare the rest of the marinade. I'm going to let my garlic sit and develop more antioxidant properties while we mix up the rest of the ingredients. So we're going to use balsamic vinegar. And I did not spend a lot of money on this balsamic vinegar because it's just a marinade and I'm going to be grilling. If I were using um, balsamic vinegar in a dressing that was going to go on a salad, I may increase the money that I spend on it. But in this case, any balsamic vinegar in the grocery store is going to work. So there goes our fourth of a cup of balsamic vinegar. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And now you're actually going to see how lazy I am. I didn't even bring out a tablespoon. I've worked in kitchens in the past, and the rule of thumb is 1/1000 to 1,000. There's our 2 tablespoons of olive oil.
Great tip, Susie.
And you guys are learning a lot about me. This recipe also uses dried herbs. Now you can use fresh herbs if you want to, but again, because I'm going to be grilling these, I'm not too concerned about using the fresh herbs at this point. I'm going to sprinkle in my oregano. And instead of using dried basil, I really like the flavor of rosemary. So I've got rosemary. I'm going to sprinkle that in. Now, like some of my coworkers, and I'm sure you have said this as well, Nicole, in your demonstrations, cooking is a science, but it also allows you to be creative. So don't feel like you have to go to the T to a recipe. If you like rosemary better than basil, then use that. It's still going to be a good product.
Susie,
So,
I had a herb garden and I actually used thyme in this recipe, fresh thyme, and it
oh,
was delicious.
what a great idea. All of the Italian herbs go well together, I feel. You can mix and match whatever your preference leads to. Okay, there is our black pepper. And now I'm going to give it a quick whisk. I'm going to add my garlic. Now, this is not sat for 10 minutes, obviously, but I feel like any kind of time to let that garlic rest is only going to intensify the antioxidant properties. So again, give yourself some grace. It's okay if it doesn't sit for the full 10 minutes. You're still getting some benefit from letting it rest. Okay, now we are ready to go ahead and start the marinating process of the mushroom caps. I'm going to pour a bit of the balsamic vinegar on its own on the bottom of my marinating dish, just so I give the mushroom caps something to sit in that allows them to soak up that balsamic vinegar. Now I'm going to bring these mushroom caps towards the camera. So the smooth side is going to go down into the marinating dish, and the gills of the mushroom are going to be soaking up most of the marinade. And that's key if you want the most flavor in your dish.
Susie, I don't know about you, but I find that mushrooms will just absorb flavor and you can really get some great flavor in there.
Nicole, I feel like mushrooms work in almost any cuisine. You see it in Asian cooking, Indian cooking, Italian cooking, French cooking.
Mhm.
Mushrooms are divine.
Speaking of mushrooms, can I run through a couple quick facts about what mushrooms are loaded with?
Please do.
First, fun fact, a mushroom is neither a fruit or a vegetable. It's actually a fungi. And it's packed with nutrients. We've got B vitamins, riboflavin, niacin, we've got potassium, selenium, and then one of mushrooms' possible claim to fame's vitamin D.
Woo!
Mushrooms have a unique ability to increase vitamin D amounts when they're exposed to UV light or sunlight.
That's amazing. When you think about these white food items soaking up all of this vitamin D. Now, are there different, is that true for any kind of mushroom?
There are different varieties of mushrooms. They all have a little bit, and certainly um, it does vary, among the different varieties. So cremini, portobello. The cremini and the portobello specifically have a little bit higher selenium content. What's nice about all of them is they're all lower in calories, fat, sodium, and cholesterol free. So it makes it a really nice way to reduce the total fat in a burger, like what you're doing, or if you're not quite sure, you're not as versed with mushroom cooking, you could always do half, half of the ground meat, half of the mushrooms. It's called a blended burger.
What a great idea. And again, this is an easy way for all of us to move towards a more plant-based diet and still feel like we're being satisfied. Now, marinating time. This recipe calls for about 15 minutes. The times that I have done this recipe, I have marinated these mushroom caps for anywhere from an hour to 5 hours. One day, I went ahead, did this, stuck the mushrooms in the fridge to marinate, thinking, all right, I'll come back to that in about an hour. Life happened, some kind of emergency came up, and I could not get back to them until 5 hours later. And you know what? No harm whatsoever. It was just a more flavorful mushroom burger at that point. So again, I really feel like this recipe gives you a lot of grace. You don't have to follow rules completely. So a half an hour, 2 hours, whatever fits into your schedule. So that's it. That's all you have to do. Now, the other thing I really like about this, Nicole, is you can also use this marinade for chicken or beef. I also thought this would be really good if you wanted to be wild and crazy and do an eggplant burger instead of a mushroom burger. So this marinade gives you a good base to work from.
Susie, do you think that we could use the marinade too with onions? Like if we wanted to roast some onions or grill them?
Great idea. I never thought about that. I like the way you think, Nicole. I think that is a great idea. Again, like I said, this recipe allows a lot of movement so that you can create a successful meal. And I really like it because if you have someone come over for dinner who doesn't like mushrooms, again, you can use this same marinade, do some chicken or some beef, and everybody can be happy with really very little effort on your part.
And it also helps in terms of cost. Those mushrooms, they pack a nutrient punch and they do it at a pretty reasonable rate at the grocery stores.
Did you pay for your mushroom caps, Nicole,
You know,
when you did it?
I couldn't find the big Portobello, so I got the small ones and did this. They're called stuffing caps. So I did sliders and they were under $4 for six.
Wow, that's very economical. Now, I do want to point out this particular recipe is geared towards grilling for portobello mushrooms, but for some reason in my hometown grocery store, portobello mushroom caps are a hot item this summer. And so I was only able to find for portobello mushrooms, but rest assured, this recipe makes enough for 4 people. So now I'm going to go ahead and season my grill. Today I'm using a gas grill, but I've also done this recipe on a charcoal grill. The only difference that you're going to do on charcoal is you're going to bank the coals on one side and grill on the other. I've also done this recipe under the broiler, and I've also done this recipe in a saute pan. So once again, it doesn't really matter what kind of cooking situation you have. If you don't have a grill, rest assured you can do it in the oven, under the broiler, or on the stove top in a saute pan.
I
Now
can
I'm gonna
vouch for
see
how well it did in the oven. It did great, just like you said before, Susie.
good. And did you broil it or did you use just a high heat in the oven?
I just used a high heat. I think it would be great on both though.
Now today I've got my grill set a little bit higher than 300. It's probably at 325. I don't want to burn the mushroom caps because I don't want that flavor to come through of it being burnt and overdone. But I do want to create the sizzle. So right now it's a little bit higher than 300. Now I'm going to season my grill. And a lot of people do different things when they season grills, but I like to cut the top off of an onion, dip it in some oil, and then rub it on my grill grate.
Susie, that's another great tip. You've really shared some good ones with us today.
Oh, good. So I'm going to start with the smooth side down on the mushroom. Oh my gosh, Nicole, these look so good.
I wish I was there. We could have lunch together.
I know. Right, I'm going to set my timer for 4 to 5 minutes on either side. And that's it. Super easy to do. And it's a great crowd pleaser too, I feel. Now, when the mushrooms are done, we've got a couple of different options. We're going to go ahead and do a mushroom burger. I've got my bun set up. But I also wanted to let you know, you can also make this into a portobello mushroom salad. So if you have somebody who is gluten intolerant or someone who is not into having another burger, you can always just do a salad.
It
And
seems like it's really versatile.
it is. It's very easy to do a lot of different things with this recipe. I've even used the portobello mushrooms in scrambled eggs the next day, if there's anything left. That's not always the case because we tend to eat them up quickly once they come off the grill. But if you do have leftover, they're great in scrambled eggs as well. Now for my bun, instead of using lettuce leaf, I chose to use basil leaves and a tomato. I just love that combination of balsamic vinegar, basil, tomato, and garlic. And instead of using the provolone cheese, I chose to use goat cheese. So I spread goat cheese on my bun top. And that way I can keep my grill a bit cleaner instead of putting a piece of cheese on top of the mushroom.
I
And
like
if you
how you're thinking with that, minimizing that cleanup, maximizing the flavor.
exactly, and again, there's something about that goat cheese and the balsamic vinegar combination that tastes really good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want any cheese and make it truly a plant-based meal, then you can skip the cheese. I'm just going to add a slice of onion chop up a bit of onion and put it on the salad. Now, do you have a grill at home, Nicole?
You know, we do not. But I liked to always take some of those good standby recipes and do like you shared. Just put it in the oven, high heat, and try to be outside as much as possible. Enjoy it out there on a beautiful summer day,
I know.
especially when you've got the vegetable gardens and the herb gardens in. It's fun to find a way to incorporate those like you're doing with that salad and with the burger.
Now, again, because I'm addicted to basil, I also snipped a bit of the basil leaves so that I would get that flavor in the salad.
That's so smart. And flavor, it goes such a long way, especially with mushrooms.
I agree.
They absorb.
I agree. Oh, there goes our timer. Let's check. Oh my gosh, this smells so good.
I
It's making
wish we
me
had
hungry.
smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision. All right, we're gonna set the timer for another 4 minutes. And that's it.
Susie, this recipe is one that I think I shared with you. I am putting it in my special recipe box where the best recipes make it. It is going there. It's so delicious.
I'm so glad that you liked it. And like I said, I've been making maybe not this particular recipe, but something very similar for the past 5 years. And it's foolproof. And that's the kind of cook I am. You know, I want something that's always going to turn out, that doesn't take a lot of time, and that's versatile and meets a lot of different needs for whoever is coming over. We love to entertain in our backyard. And so I have one friend who's gluten intolerant, so she always gets the salad. And then we have guys who are rock climbing or going down the river or whatever it is. And so they want the burger and the salad and maybe whatever's left over from another portobello mushroom burger. So this recipe is for everybody.
And I think you hit the nail on the head with making sure that we're keeping it fun. You know, recipes do they have a pattern, but we're still supposed to kind of make them our own and keep having fun with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know, I am going to try that eggplant burger. I happened to think of that last night when I was kind of prepping for today. And I thought, gosh, I should have gotten an eggplant and tried that on the grill after it was marinated. I bet that would be pretty good too.
Let us know how it is. It sounds like it would be delicious.
You know, eggplants and mushrooms have that meaty texture. And so again, I feel like this is a good segue towards that plant-based diet that we're all trying to strive towards. Because we want our meals to have some kind of meaty texture so that we don't feel deprived. And I feel like the eggplant and the mushroom do that well.
They do have such a satisfying bite. You know, it's a very, very good way to start that idea of, hey, let's have more plants, even if it's just once a week on Meatless Monday.
You're
The
exactly right.
portobello is a good starter.
You're exactly right, Nicole.
How are they looking on the grill?
I can't wait any longer. Let me turn off my timer so it doesn't ding. Right. I'm going to bring it over so everybody can see.
Oh, yes. The weather in your backyard looks perfect for grilling.
You know, it's monsoon season here in Colorado. And so today we have blue skies right now. And so it is a pretty day and there's no wind and it's not too hot. Now, later on today, we'll have big thunderheads over. And so you got to pick your moments when you're here in Colorado and especially during the summertime. All right, I'm going to bring this over. Can you see
Oh,
how
it looks
pretty?
so good. I see the steam coming off of it.
Mm.
Susie, it looks delicious.
Okay, so there's our burger. And look at that. That is a big burger, right?
That
Who wouldn't be
is.
satisfied?
Susie, this was great. Thank you for showing us a different take on a way to grill burgers in the summer.
You are welcome. I am thrilled that everybody joined today so that I could share one of my favorite recipes.
Well, it's now become one of my favorite, and I am going to be using that marinade, I think, on a lot of different things for the rest of the summer.
Again, versatile, easy to put together. Voila!
It looks great. Thank you, Susie.
Thank you. Happy eating, everybody.